Hi, this is a brief overview of Cisco Defense Orchestrator for the FireJumper program. This video is being recorded in August of 2018. Some of the features and functionality inside of CDO to manage firepower threat defense are still in the pre-beta development cycle. So with that disclaimer said, let's get started. So this is the CDO UI. I've already logged in with my two-factor authentication. You can see here I have several ASAs, an umbrella service onboarded, and some FTP devices. I'm just going to use a brief time here to talk to you about some basic use cases that we can help with the ASA, and then I'll transition into FTD. So the ASAs, we give you the ability to run an image upgrade from CDO. So for instance, I have this device named Charlotte that's at software version 9.6.2. Normally to upgrade that, it's a little bit of a project, but CDO makes it very, very simple. Click on the upgrade button. We already have a repository where we have all the image upgrades stored, all the images that you need. All you need to do is select the image that you want to upgrade to, click continue, choose the ASDM version you want to upgrade to, or you can skip it. Click continue. You can choose to just copy that image out to a device, or you can also tell that device to not only copy that image, but to perform the upgrade. This becomes even slicker when you start thinking about high availability. So this Minneapolis device is an HA pair, and you can see here that this host is the primary and it's active, and the secondary is in standby. In CDO, you only onboard the primary device, but we're aware of the secondary because we know how to run the commands to check and see if it's there. So to run an upgrade for an HA pair through CDO, same exact workflow. Just click upgrade, choose the version of code that you want to upgrade to. Again, choose the ASDM version. And there's nothing that you need to do after I click this perform upgrade button. CDO is going to take care of the entire HA pair upgrade. No packet drops for that upgrade. We do all the failovers, we do all the checking. If anything fails along the way, we stop. We don't put you in a situation where both of your HA pair are down. Only that one device that would have a problem could directly be down. So we do a lot of checking. Very widely used feature of CDO by our customers. So another really cool feature that we've also built in is our CLI tool. The CLI tool allows you to run a command on a device or a set of devices. So if I go ahead and click on command line interface, and I can do something as basic as show run include SMP, and send it, we're going to get the response back as if we were sitting on the device. The same response that you get from running that on the CLI, we're also going to get that in CDO. So I can not only run enable commands, I can also run config commands as well. So maybe I want to set that to USA knock and USA. I can go ahead and send that. Same deal, I'm going to get a response back saying everything's great. Done. Now, what becomes way powerful is that I can do this across multiple devices at one time. So for instance, I'm going to choose several ASAs, and I'm going to bring up the command line interface tool and do show run include SMP across all 5 of these devices. I'm going to send it and get a response back. And anywhere the responses match each other, we're going to report that as one response. So you can see here I have 3 different responses across 5 devices. So one of my devices has USA knock, one of mine has US knock, and another device, Asheville, has just never been set. So the one I want to keep is just one that's on 3 devices. So I can just highlight that command, copy it, paste it in, and now I can run the same command against all 5 devices at one time. And I'm going to get a response back that it's done, and now all 5 of those devices have the same exact SNMP server setting. Now, the SNMP server is obviously kind of not a very interesting example, but imagine how you could use this when you're setting an SNMP v3 key, or changing your radius key, or updating NTP, or logging, or DNS. across your entire fleet of devices. This makes doing that super simple, using CLI through CDO across multiple devices at one time. It becomes a huge advantage and a huge time saver for not only um, making changes, but making changes and checking for the current status of your devices as well. We also have this functionality where you can build in a macro. So some of the macros that we ship, and some of them, and you can build as many as you want as well. So some of the macros are fully formed commands already, like how do I see the interface names on an ASA? I can show name if, and I can send it to all 5 of those devices. Going to get a response back across all 5. So on 2 of my devices, I have my name ifs set exactly the same, and then I have additional interfaces in some of the other devices. So that's a concept of a fully formed command. You can do that for showing where your Eating Connect users are logged on, things of that nature. I also might want to configure DNS across my devices. So we've given you the fully formed command on how to configure DNS and what you need to do to configure DNS, but we don't know the name of the interface. We don't know the IP address you need to set for that DNS. So it becomes super simple to go ahead and view the parameters and set that name. Maybe it's outside, and then the IP address of your DNS server. You can just type it in and we'll populate that information in there. So that's an example of a little more complex macro with a parameter. We can also do some more creative macros that do an entire function for you. So for instance, creating a site-to-site VPN tunnel is often something that you need to do. You need to look things up, perhaps, or you edit a text file, or you grab something from your internal wiki. Instead of doing that, why not just build a macro inside of CDO? I can go ahead and edit and build a macro from scratch, which I've done. And I can create the object groups that I need, all the NATs, the crypto maps, and I can reuse those variables inside of this macro. So I'm going to set the distant network name as an object, and I'm going to reuse that object several times within this macro. So what this turns into is, let me undo most of these. When I need to run this now, all I have to do is click View Parameters, and I've essentially made myself a nice little wizard. So I'm going to type Boston, and you can see that we're populating all those values that you have parameterized. So it becomes a very easy way to dictate what the structure is, what the commands are, and what the settings you want to be. And now you or your other engineers or your people working in the NOC can go ahead and do these things without having to worry about what guidelines they're following to do them. They're literally just following this wizard pattern. It's going to create the commands, and then when it's done, they'll be able to send that command to the device, and it'll create that tunnel on that one side. All this is tracked inside of our changelog. So we have a changelog that is comprehensive throughout CDO. So if I click on the changelog tab, I can see anything that's happening to any of these devices over time. So I can see that on Chicago, several CLI executions were run, and I can see who the person was that was running those executions. So some of them are benign, show name if. Some of them are a little more exact because I'm running a configuration command on those devices. So another interesting thing we have for ASAs is the ability to manage your objects through CDO as well as your policies. So the objects I'm going to talk about in 1 second, but first I'll talk about the policies. So in CDO, I can go ahead and access the network policies and see that I have all my access groups here, and these are the ACLs, kind of how you'd expect them to look with any policy editor that you normally work with. The one special thing we have built in here, though, is the ability to show you where you have ACLs that are never going to get hit, and we call those shadow rules. And we show that by this half moon that's in front of the access group. So that means inside this access group, there's at least one ACL that will never get hit. If I click on that, we see line 8 is shadowed, And when I choose line 8, we'll see that line 6 is the device or the ACL that's actually going to perform any operation that could be destined to line 8. We can easily see where that shadow rule is. The CDO team obviously doesn't know what the disposition should be, but you do. So you can go ahead then and delete it, maybe cut it and paste it up above where it was being shadowed and save it. And now that next time we push that change out to the device, it'll no longer be shadowed. We also are able to help you manage the policies inside of FTD as well. So remember at the beginning of this video, I said that what you're about to see with FTD is still under development from the CDO perspective. And also we're using a version of FTD code 6.3 that is not yet publicly available and will not be until later this calendar year, 2018. So if I choose Raleigh, for instance, I can see that I can choose the policy page and I can see the policy editor. And if you've used the Firepower Device Manager, FDM, you'll kind of have the similar look and feel managing a policy here in CDO and one in FDM. And that's on purpose because you can co-manage your devices with FDM and CDO. They work in concert together. You'll notice here there's a object called Corp DNS1. So this is kind of showing you our hand on where we're going and what we're going to be able to provide more of in the future. So this object is actually a network object that is actually being shared not only on this FTD device with other FTDs, but also on a couple of my ASA devices as well. So this Corp DNS1, if I go back to my objects page and I search for this Corp DNS1, we'll see that there's actually 4 devices that are using this object, and two of them are Charlotte and Raleigh, and one of them is another 2 are Durham and Greensboro. Charlotte and Raleigh are, Charlotte and Durham are ASAs, and Raleigh and Greensboro are FTD devices. So now we know that there's going to be many, many people that are migrating or moving from ASAs to FTDs. And that is not going to happen overnight, especially if you have a large estate or a large enterprise of ASA devices. It'll take time. So CDO gives you the opportunity and the visibility and the capability to manage your FTD devices and your ASA devices together in one single pane of glass, but also we give you some co-management capabilities with that as well. So this is a great example. If I want to update this object because my DNS server has changed, for instance, it's changed from 52, 53, 53 to 53, 53, 53. I can go ahead and save that, and CDO is going to update the backend representation of all 4 of these devices, even though 2 of them are ASAs and 2 of them are FTDs. So when I go back to my device and services page, I'll see that I have some devices that are not in sync, and I can actually filter on those devices. I just want to see the ones that are not in sync. Let me go ahead and review the certificate change when I did the image upgrade. That's why that certificate is there. So now I have 4 devices that are not in sync, and they all are the ones that were sharing that object. So now I made the change during the day, during my waking hours. It's 2 a.m. It's my change window. It's available. I want to update all of these devices with this new object. I can simply do a write all to all 4 of these devices. And we're going to push the change for that object to 2 ASAs and 2 FTDs. It could be 20 ASAs and 20 FTDs. It could be 500 and 500. It doesn't matter. But what we're able to do now is do a bulk push and also do a bulk push across technology types, which is pretty cool. And we'll be able to add more and more of that condensed functionality, the hybrid approach across those devices as we move forward. So again, all of this has commonality behind it with how our devices page works, also how the change log is capturing these changes. So if I go to my change log, I can see that on Dayton which is one of those devices, a change was written successfully, I can explode it to see who the person was that pushed that change out, do a diff to see what the difference between what was on that device before and what's on that device now, and I can just step through those changes to see what those changes were. And then when the FTD device has finished being pushed as well, it takes a little bit longer. We're also going to see that same information for my FTD device. You can see here that we've modified it. It hasn't quite come back to say that it's updated the actual firepower threat defense device yet, but it will, and that'll all show up here in the change log as well. So this is just about a kind of a brief overview of CDO, of some of the capabilities that we have built into the product today. And when you view this video, when you go and use your own CDO account, you'll probably see even more functionality for firepower threat defense as well. As always, we're here to help the CDO team. If you need more information or you want to get your own demo account or production account, or you want to learn how to get a demo provided for one of your customers, please feel free to connect with us. You can go to getcdo.com. You can also find us on the Cisco website, and we're happy to help you. We'll get back to you very quickly, and we'll help you get up and running with CDO. Thanks again.